You know that friend who can't seem to stop talking about every little detail of their life? The one who shares everything from what they had for breakfast to their latest argument with their partner? If you're like most people, you probably find yourself mentally checking out or desperately searching for an escape route. Here's the thing. Oversharing makes you appear desperate and insecure. People start to see you as someone who lacks confidence and they'll disrespect you. Let's take an example. Remember Andy Sachs from The Devil Wears Prada? At the start of the movie, she's the queen of oversharing. During her interview with Miranda at Runway, she admits Runway was her last option, saying it was either this or working at Auto Universe. She also reveals that she'd never heard of the fashion publication for Runway before, nor had she ever heard of Miranda. There's also the pile of stuff scene where Andy audibly scoffs at Miranda and a colleague debating the visual differences between two belts, for which he's promptly humiliated. Quote, "Undutiful words of a subject do often take deeper root than the memory of ill deeds." Sure, maybe she was clueless at the start of the film, but being careful with what she says would have allowed her to better control her public image. Andy isn't the only character guilty of saying more than necessary. Lorelai Gilmore from Gilmore Girls is a great example. Take Rory's best friend's marriage ceremony. Instead of offering a normal toast, Lorelai starts rambling about the problems with her love life. It's meant to be a comedic scene, but it also shows how her lack of filter can be inappropriate and off-putting in serious situations. Consider if this had happened in real life. Yikes. The thing is, when someone talks too much, where's the intrigue? Where's the mystery? You also put yourself at risk of saying some things you shouldn't. Quote, "When you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, the less in control, and the more likely you are to say something foolish." Enter the it girl. You know the type. She walks into a room and suddenly all eyes are on her. But here's the kicker. She's not usually the loudest voice in the crowd. Let's take Gia from Singles Inferno. She's the epitome of an it girl, and she's a master of using the fourth law of power. Throughout the show, she had multiple guys falling over themselves to get her attention. But the thing is, she wasn't chasing anyone or oversharing. She was just being herself, saying very little about herself. She kept people guessing, wanting to know more. Sure, she engages with the guys, but also never lays all her cards on the table. Now, obviously, Gia's allure isn't just about what she doesn't say, it's about how she carries herself. Her confidence shines through in her body language and eye contact, but her control over her speech is a major factor that lets her steal the spotlight. Always saying less than necessary isn't just about zipping your lips. It's about being selective with what you share, and when used strategically, it becomes a form of communication all on its own. Quote, "Even if you are saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress by saying less." But why does this work so well? It's basic psychology. Our brains are wired to be curious. When we encounter someone who doesn't reveal everything about themselves, we can't help but want to fill in the blanks. It's like a puzzle we're itching to solve. So how can we copy some of our favorite it girls and create an air of mystery? How can we share just enough to keep people hooked without giving away the whole story? It's really simple in theory, but many are afraid they'll come across as awkward. An element of that is social anxiety, so be sure to get that under control. But you'll be surprised how often someone else will fill the void. Quote, "Our short answers and silences will put them on the defensive, and they will jump in, nervously filling the silence with all kinds of comments that will reveal valuable information. They will leave a meeting with you feeling as if they had been robbed, and they will go home and ponder your every word. This extra attention to your brief comments will only add to your power." Maybe that's a little harsh though. You would rather be more loved than feared, as the saying goes. In that case, challenge yourself to ask more questions instead of sharing everything about yourself. Not only will this make the other person feel valued, but you'll also gain deeper insights into their thoughts and feelings. All the same, they'll eventually realize they learned almost nothing about you and will be starved to know more. Remember, being an it girl isn't about talking the most, it's about making an impact. And the wonderful thing is you get to decide the type of it girl you want to be. But let's face it, context is everything. There are obviously times when it's a bad idea. Imagine you're on a first date and you're so focused on being mysterious that you barely say a word. Spoiler alert, that's not mysterious, that's just awkward. Or maybe you're in a job interview and they ask about your strengths. That's not the time to play coy. Quote, "Silence can arouse suspicion and even insecurity, especially in your superiors." This is where the concept of progressive disclosure comes in handy. Think of it like peeling an onion, minus the tears. You reveal a little bit about yourself at a time. gradually building trust and intimacy. There are also moments when speaking up is crucial. First, in any situation where not speaking could cause miscommunication in decision-making, ambiguous statements can also sometimes unintentionally make yourself look worse. Second, when you need to establish boundaries or assert yourself, if someone's making you uncomfortable, use your voice to set clear limits. Lastly, when you're building deeper connections, in close relationships, sharing isn't a bad thing, it's how you create intimacy. While you don't need to spill every detail of your life, and maybe shouldn't, sharing your joys and struggles with your partner or besties is what builds those deep, lasting bonds. The key is finding the sweet spot between mystery and authenticity. You want to be intriguing, sure, but you also want to form genuine connections, and it also depends on the level of closeness you have with who you're interacting with. Remember, the goal isn't to become a silent enigma. It's about using your words wisely and knowing when they carry the most power. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is speak up and let your voice be heard. Speak less, listen more, and watch the world start leaning in. Stay mysterious, stay powerful, and I'll catch you in the next video.